Every night, hundreds of glass eyes watch me from the shadows. Some blink, some move, and some whisper. I was told never to call them dolls, never speak their names. But the one rule I broke is the reason you're hearing this. They call it Briarbrook Doll Works, the last standing building in a rust-eaten Missouri town that most maps forgot. Set deep in the woods, far from any highway, it's where porcelain dreams were made, and where nightmares were sealed behind padlocked display cases and glass-eyed grins. My job is simple that I watch the dolls. That's what I was told that I was. Hired by a man named Mr. Hargrave, late 60s, smelled of embalming fluid and pine cleaner. He had white gloves on when I shook his hand, didn't take them off once. His smile was plastic and stayed too long on his face. There are 8 rules, son, he said, sliding a yellowed folder across the dusty table of the security office. Read M, live by M, or don't come back. I scoffed at the time. I thought it was some rural scare tactic, old people superstition. But after my first night, I never scoffed again. Scroll the 8 rules of Briarbrook Doll Works. Never call them dolls. Refer to them only as residents. The residents move at night. Let them. Don't stare. Don't interfere. If you hear footsteps behind you, don't turn around. Room 4A is off limits. Always. The resident inside has no name. At 3:03 a.m., all residents will freeze. This lasts for 66 seconds. During this time, do not speak or breathe loudly. If any resident is missing from its display, announce loudly. Resident 12 is excused. She may return at will. Never answer the phone in the break room after midnight. If a resident begins to cry, run. Do not return until sunrise. That was 2 weeks ago. Tonight, I broke Rule 4. I opened Room 4A. And I don't know what I let out. Mantelpiece clock, night 1. 11:07 p.m. It began like any other night. Fog curling low on the asphalt outside, the moon bleeding silver through broken windows, and the mechanical hum of motion sensor lights flickering in old hallways. The factory smelled of wood glue, old fabric, and something bitter and metallic. There were rows upon rows of residents, sitting in perfect lines, glass eyes reflecting dull yellow overhead lights. Some wore faded dresses. Others had cracks running across their cheeks like ancient china. Their heads turned when I walked in, not mechanically, not all at once. Just enough to make you question your own damn sanity. I signed in. Time, 11:07 p.m. Location, lobby camera checkpoint, all residents. Accounted for video camera security logs. Entry number 27, cameras show slight movement in the 3rd floor. Hallway, possible wiring error. Doll number 9 not in display case. We'll investigate shortly. Resident, I muttered, correcting myself. Calling them dolls always felt stupid, but I didn't want to push it. After all, I'd already heard them whisper once. Thread dialogue segment. First whispers, I was walking past the 2nd floor display, my boots creaking on rotted floorboards. When I heard it, faint but clear, watch it. Me, I froze. The corridor was empty. No wind. No radio. Watch me, warden. My hand instinctively went to my flashlight, and that's when I saw her, resident number 12. The one in the cracked pink bonnet. She had moved. Her face now pointed right at me, her left hand raised like she was waving. There was dust beneath her feet. She had been off the pedestal. That wasn't possible, unless someone helped her dot, or unless she helped herself. Drop of blood strange. Discovery. The needle room. I made the mistake of entering the needle room. That it's where they used to hand sew the residents, stuffing their velvet torsos, stitching their blank stares, and painting their lips blood red. Now, it's abandoned. Except it wasn't. That I stepped inside and immediately smelled it. Copper and rot. On the far table lay a resident I'd never seen before, tall, slumped over, eyes painted black, mouth stitched shut, with real thread, still wet. Then it twitched, only slightly, like a dying insect caught in a glue trap. That I backed out slowly. And that's when the old rotary phone in the break room started ringing. Telephone rule broken. The midnight call it. Rang 3 times. Exactly like the folder said it would. That I shouldn't have answered, but my hands moved on their own. Hello? Silence. Then a child's voice, scratchy like it came through a broken speaker. Don't let her out. She remembers you. Click. Performing Arts. The legend of Resident 4 AI went back to the file cabinet. I had to know who she was. There was no listing for 4A. No name. No date of creation. but tucked in the back of the cabinet, behind a rusted panel, I found a photo, black and white, torn down the middle. It showed a girl, maybe 6 or 7, pale skin, braided hair, but her eyes were burned out from the photo. On the back, scrawled in red ink, "Do not name her. Do not look in her eyes." My flashlight flickered. Then all the residents in the hallway turned their heads toward me. Ballet shoes dialogue segment. Mr. Hargrave returns me. "Who is she? What's in 4A? Mr. Hargrave, calmly, "What did you do, son?" "Me?" I opened the door. Just for a second. She wasn't there, just a broken doll. But it looked like Mr. Hargrave, grabbing my wrist tightly. "You said her name, didn't you?" "Me, no. I didn't even know it." "Mr. Hargrave, but you thought it. That's enough. She's awake now. Whole something is loose in the factory from 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. All security systems went dark. The cameras, the alarms, even my flashlight, all died for 126 minutes. When the lights came back, resident number 12 was gone. So was resident number 5. Number 3, #19. And a message was written on the main display glass, scrawled in what looked like red ink, but smelled like old meat. She was never a doll. 3:03 a.m. hit. All residents froze, just like the rules said, but one didn't. The tall stitched-mouth figure from the needle room stood in the center of the hallway, arms open, eyes unblinking. And then it cried. A soft whimper, barely human. The lights burst, and I ran. Some dolls are sewn, some are carved, but the ones that move, they were made from something else, something that once had a soul. And in room 4A, she remembers everything. Crescent moon 12 hours earlier, the morning after I didn't sleep after last night. How could I? The sounds, the movement, the crying, the stench of rust and rot still clung to my uniform like it was stitched into the fabric itself. I tried quitting. I even packed my bag and left the factory gates, but the road out of Briarbrook was gone. It just looped back to the damn factory. I drove straight for 27 minutes in one direction. Every sign I passed was blank. No town names, no distances, just rusted, cracked signs whispering things that didn't belong on highway steel. When I returned, Mr. Hargrave was waiting in the lobby, sitting in the same chair he always did, like he hadn't moved an inch. "You tried to leave," he said without looking at me. "There's no escape anymore, is there?" He nodded once, slowly. Then he handed me another folder. This one was red and burned at the edges. "These are the rules for your second week. If you make it through, we'll talk about the truth. Scroll supplementary rules. Second week. Do not speak to the resident in the mirror. She will not blink when you do. If you hear giggling from the vents, cover all your windows with cloth immediately. A doll may offer you a name. Never accept it. Between 2:44 a.m. and 2:47 a.m., do not look at clocks. Time lies. Do not bring outside items into the break room, especially coins. If the music box in the northwest wing begins to play, you are being watched. Never touch the cracked porcelain mask on the wall. She's still listening. If the lights go green, hide under a table and bite your tongue. Puzzle piece. The truth begins to unravel after reading the new rules. I noticed something strange. The number 4 was scratched into my left hand. Not drawn. Not written. Scratched. Into my flesh. 4 lines. Deep. Clean. Fresh. I didn't remember doing it. But every time I tried to wash it off, the lines reappeared. Then I heard the voice again. "We remember you, Warden." The voice was younger this time. Feminine. Childlike. And very, very angry. Frame picture discovery. The dollmaker's portrait. Wandering deeper into the east wing, I stumbled upon a locked wooden door hidden behind a shelf of dusty head molds and mannequin arms. The key I used didn't fit at first, but when I said her name in my head, even though I wasn't supposed to know it, the lock clicked open. Inside was a forgotten office. Walls lined with doll blueprints, designs, and portraits. 1 painting sat in the center. A man and a little girl. He was smiling. She wasn't. Underneath read, "Master Lorik and Delilah, 1899. Delilah, that was her name, the one I wasn't supposed to know. The one who now lived in room 4A. The one who cried and whispered and never slept. I dialogue segment. The mirror resident around 2 a.m. I checked the maintenance wing. The factory mirrors were cracked, aged with grime and dust, but one mirror, perfectly clean, stood alone near the stairwell. As I passed, I saw her, not my reflection, her. A little girl, red hair, dress stained at the hem, eyes white and wide open. She didn't blink. I moved. She didn't. I raised my hand. She didn't copy me. And then she spoke. You wore red that day. You shouldn't have smiled when she fell. I backed away, heart pounding. But then she blinks, and my reflection returns. Carousel horse 3:03 a.m. freeze. Something's wrong as always at 3:03 a.m. All residents froze. Except this time, one kept moving. Not walking. Not twitching. She was sewing, threading a needle through what looked like a small pink sock. But it wasn't fabric. It pulsed. It bled. I tried shouting, but my voice was swallowed by the silence. And the moment 3:04 a.m. hit, all the lights in the factory turned green. Candle rule 16 triggered. Lights turned green. I dove under the nearest work table, hard in my throat. The green glow soaked everything, casting long, inhuman shadows that moved even when I didn't. I remembered the rule. If the lights go green, hide under a table and bite your tongue. I did exactly that. And when I bit hard enough to taste blood, I heard the footsteps. They were barefoot and small. They walked past me, paused. Then a giggle filled the air like glass shattering in reverse. I didn't breathe. And then a porcelain face slid into view, upside down, staring directly under the table. It was Delilah. Her mouth opened and she screamed. Skull flashback. The factory fire in the archive room. I found an old police report. Briarbrook Doll Works burned once. 1901 no survivors, except one. A girl who lived in the walls. According to the record, she had no eyes when they found her, just hollow sockets. She was clutching a doll that looked exactly like her. The fire didn't kill her. It changed her. She became something else, something the dollmaker never meant to create. Drop of blood dialogue segment. Mr. Hargrave's confession. Me. What is she? What the hell is she? Hargrave. She's not a doll. She's a promise broken. Me. She follows me. She scratches messages into the glass. I see her in the vents. Hargrave. She remembers what happened before the fire. And now that you've broken Rule 4, she knows you remember too. Me. I've never met her before. Hargrave, haven't you? You ever been to Missouri as a child? Stayed at a summer camp near Elk River? I froze, because I had point one summer, and a little girl had gone missing. We were told it was a bear attack. Footprints. The children in the walls at 4:15 a.m. I heard running inside the factory walls. Not mice. Not wind. Children. I placed my ear to a vent and heard them clearly. 1, 2. She's coming for you. 3, 4. Better not say her name anymore. I turned and saw porcelain arms reaching out from between the pipes. They were trying to pull something through. Or pull me in. Back in the needle room, a new crate had arrived. Old wood, branded with the factory symbol. A stitched eye with a smile. It wasn't there yesterday. I pried it open with a crowbar. Inside was a doll version of me. Same clothes. Same scar. Same bloodied mouth. Its eyes blinked once, and then whispered, she's almost ready to wear you. Make peace with your bones. The lights died. A scream tore through the air, deeper than anything human. And the factory doors slammed shut behind me. I wasn't going anywhere. They told me the residents were dolls. They told me to follow the rules. But the rules were never meant to protect me. They were meant to keep her locked inside. Waxing crescent moon 7:12 p.m. The night begins differently. I arrived early this time. There was a feeling in my gut that tonight was different, like the air inside Briarbrook was denser, heavier, as if the walls were trying to breathe. The front gates were open. That never happened. There was no sign of Hargrave. No familiar creaking overhead lights. Just silence. I stepped into the lobby and saw it immediately. The factory clock, stuck at 3:03 a.m. Even though it wasn't. A sick, sticky cold spread across my back as I stepped inside and realized something horrifying. The freeze already happened. But the residents never froze. The second mirror. There was a mirror in the hallway that hadn't been there before. Perfect oval. Black frame. No dust. It reflected the hallway perfectly, but not me. Instead, it showed a different version of the corridor. Same walls, same flickering lights, but lined with bodies, children, dolls, people in security uniforms just like mine, all strung up like puppets. And at the end of the hallway, standing with her back to the glass, Delilah. She turned her head slowly, only in the reflection, and whispered, "Let's play. I want to wear your smile next. Scroll the final 4 rules." Hidden page that night. I returned to the red folder and flipped every page until one final rule sheet fell loose from the spine that IT was handwritten, smudged with fingerprints, dated decades earlier, locked with key final factory rules, never meant to be shown. If you dream of her, don't wake up. She sees the world through your sleeping eyes. If a resident gives you something, you must accept, but never keep it. Return it before sunrise. Delilah will ask you to play. If you say yes, you become part of her game. If you say no, you become her toy. I never slept at the factory, but now, the factory sleeps in me. Because last night, I had the dream, and she was waiting inside it. Bed the dream sequence. The dream was vivid. Too vivid. I was in the needle room again, but it wasn't abandoned. It was alive. Sewers stitched new residents. In rows, the machines moved on their own, and the walls pulsed like flesh. I, in the center of the room, sat a child-sized operating table. On it, a human torso, mine, but made of porcelain, stuffed with velvet and hair. Delilah stood beside it with a needle longer than my forearm. "You were mine first," she said. "I just want you to remember. You promised we'd always play." I woke up screaming, and there was something in my hand. A tiny sewing needle, still warm, still dripping. Detective investigation. The dollmaker's ledger had to know more. Hargrave wasn't answering the radio. The other staff hadn't been seen in days. I picked the lock to the basement archives. Downstairs, buried under mounds of molding records, I found the dollmaker's ledger. Written in a tight, sharp cursive was a log of every doll made in the factory, down to the stitch count, but mixed between the entries were organic attempts. Here's one of the entries. #009. A. Delilah, created from subject 12, female, approximate 7 years, soul binding attempt via mirror ritual, failed retried. Binding during fire, partial success, resident exhibits autonomy, hostility, memory retention. Do not name her. Do not bind her again. Containment. Room 4A. Do not unlock, ever. That fire. It wasn't an accident. It was a ritual, and I was part of it. Fire flashback. My forgotten past. The pieces started to fall into place. When I was a child, I had recurring nightmares about a girl in a red dress, always crying, always reaching for me through mirrors, puddles, even the TV screen. One day, after a night terror, I scratched a word into the wall next to my childhood bed. Delilah. My parents thought it was gibberish, but it wasn't. It was her. She'd been reaching out my entire life, and now I was back. To finish what we started. Package. Delilah's game begins 3:03 a.m. Again, this time, the residents didn't just unfreeze. They stood up, every single one. Like soldiers, and they began to chant. "Warden, warden, warden must choose. She wants to wear your skin. What will you lose?" Then the lights turned purple. I didn't know what that meant. It wasn't in any rulebook. Suddenly, the doors slammed shut. A soft music box began to play, and Delilah appeared at the end of the hallway, arms behind her back, rocking slightly. She was holding 2 masks. One smiling, one crying. "Choose," she said. "One for me, one for you." Face screaming in fear. Dialogue segment. "The choice me. What is this? What do you want from me?" Delilah, smiling. "To remember, to play, to wear you." Me. "I never promised anything." Delilah. "But you did. You just forgot." And I waited. I waited so long in the dark. Me. "Let the others go. Let the dolls go." Delilah. "They're not dolls. They're me. Every one of them, a piece." Me. "What if I say no?" Delilah. "Then I keep playing." "But you don't." I took the smiling mask. The moment I did, everything went black, and when the lights returned, I was in the display case, looking out. I trapped in porcelain. I couldn't move. My limbs were stiff. My skin was cold. I couldn't breathe, but I could see. Delilah stood over me, her face inches from the glass. "Now you see how it feels," she whispered. "To be forgotten, abandoned, stuck in a smile. But don't worry, warden. I'll keep your body warm. I'll walk in your skin, and no one will know." She turned and walked away, wearing my uniform, my skin. And as she passed the others, the residents all turned to watch her and bowed. The end of night 3. I don't know how long I was frozen, but when I woke up, I was in the security office again, soaked in sweat, covered in porcelain dust. That my face was cracked, just slightly, and in the mirror behind me, Delilah smiled back, but I wasn't smiling. Some games don't end when you lose. Some rules weren't written for you to survive. I didn't become the warden to protect the dolls. I became the warden because I was one of them. Mantelpiece clock opening scene. A loop that never ends. I woke up again. Same night, same time. 3:03 a.m. Every clock in the factory froze there. But something was wrong. This time, the moon was gone. The sky above the skylight was pitch black. No stars, no sound, just void. I turned to the monitors. Every single one showed. Room 4A. And every one showed me. Sitting inside it, not a version of me. Me. Identical uniform, same scar, same bloodshot eyes. And he was smiling. The hidden door beneath room 4A. Never dared go back to room 4A. But this night, something inside me pulled forward, like invisible threads were sewn into my veins. The door opened on its own. Inside was not a room. It was a staircase, descending deep beneath the factory. The air grew colder with every step. The wallpaper peeled in layers of flesh-like curls, and the walls began to whisper. She chose you because you left her. She stitched your guilt into porcelain. This is where the truth is buried. Time to dig it up. Scroll the dollmaker's ritual. Unholy scripture at the bottom. I found it, a circular chamber, symbols scrawled on every wall, in chalk, blood, and string. In the center. An altar made of doll parts, bones, hair. Lying open was a massive black-bound book, the dollmaker's codex, and on the final page, scrawled in bone-pale ink, skull and crossbones, the binding ritual of the willing host. One of blood, one of guilt, one of mirrors cracked and built. Stitch the name, speak the cry, or in her skin you'll live, then die. And below that, a drawing of Delilah. But her face was mine. Dialogue segment. The final conversation. Delilah, stepping into the light, barefoot, dress soaked in shadows. You finally came home. Me, what are you? Delilah, I'm what you left behind. Me, you were just a child. You died in that fire. Delilah, no. I was burned alive for him. For creation. The dollmaker tried to give me form. But you gave me soul. Me, I never. Delilah, you ran. When I screamed, you ran. She steps closer. Her eyes are black now, reflecting nothing. Now I want your face, your bones. I want you to know what it feels like to be built and abandoned. Performing arts, the true origin. Suddenly, it all came back. Police Scarlight 25 years ago. Elk River Campground. I was 8. She was 7. She followed me into the woods. Wanted to play a game. Hide and seek. I counted. She never came back. But I didn't tell anyone. I lied. I said she never followed me. I buried the guilt, forgot her name. And then I dreamed of her for 25 years, until I walked through the doors of Briarbrook, until she pulled me back. Skull. Delilah's final game. She lifts a box from the altar. Inside, 2 faces. Point 1, cracked and crying. 1, clean and smiling. Choose again. I fell to my knees. What if I choose neither? Then you break the game. What happens then? Everything burns. Fire. The factory awakens. I made my choice. I picked the crying mask. The moment I placed it against my face, the walls howled. The entire factory trembled like it was alive, like it had veins beneath the floors. The residents screamed in unison, tearing themselves off the shelves, and Delilah laughed. But this time, it sounded broken. As if some part of her was finally in pain. Hourglass. Not done. Time collapse. The reset spiral. Suddenly, flashes of my childhood. The night in the woods. The fire. The scream. The dollmaker's hand. The stitch through flesh. The promise made. The lie told. All flooded back. I saw Hargrave, not as an old man, but as the original dollmaker's apprentice, cursed to remain until the game was finished. And I saw myself, over and over again, choosing to forget. But now I remembered. Everything. Cloud. Dialogue segment. Delilah breaks. Delilah, and oh, you weren't supposed to choose that one. Me, I was never supposed to forget. Delilah, this place needs me. The dolls need me. You needed me. Me, you wanted me to wear your pain, but I'll carry it instead. Package. The final stitch. The mask cracked. The threads around my hands burst open, and with my own blood, I marked the ritual circle. Point 1, final sentence from the codex burned into my mind. To undo the stitch, one must offer truth. And I spoke it. I left you. I'm sorry. You didn't deserve what happened. Delilah stared, and for the first time, she cried as herself, not as a doll, not as a resident. Just, Delilah. Collision. The factory burns again. The foundations cracked. Fire erupted from the vents. Glass shattered in waves, and every resident, every twisted, sewn, and carved soul turned to ash. The altar collapsed. The staircase vanished, and Delilah walked into the flame, smiling, whole, free. Sunrise epilogue. 1 year later, I left Missouri. Or maybe it let me go. I don't know anymore. The scar on my palm is still there. The 4 lines, like a brand. Every now and then, I see Porcelain in my dreams, but not of her. Of others. Waiting. Teddy bear. Final journal entry. There are no more rules. The game is over. But if you ever hear whispers in a toy shop, or see a mirror that doesn't blink, or find a music box that plays by itself, don't open it. Don't answer. And whatever you do, don't play the game.